Hello, and welcome back to the program. This is Module 9, where we're going to cover success habits. Now, the first thing that we need to discuss is what's called the dip. And this is a concept popularized by Seth Godin. So a new venture, which seems simple at first, gets bogged down in what he calls the dip. And this is a great example of it. So when you first start something, you may get some positive progress on it. In fact, this is very common to see some very quick positive progress, and it makes you optimistic that, wow, this is going to be easy. And you see the far end mountain over here and you say, well, I'm going to linearly extrapolate this over here, and I should be making profits with this strategy in just a couple of weeks. And then what happens is the dip. All of a sudden, things don't turn out that well. And so you're putting more and more effort into this, and you're getting less and less results. Very frankly, what I see most people do, and in fact, I was certainly susceptible to this when I started out, is that I would say, well, this doesn't work. Let's go back to the beginning again, and let's try another different strategy. And so you'd go through the same process again. You'd have some initial feedback from this, and things would work out pretty well at first, and then all of a sudden the dip would hit again. And then you'd say, well, this one doesn't work either. I'm going to try something else. And you go back to the beginning again. And so what we do is we leave these little piles of unfinished business out there with these trading strategies that never get done, never get anywhere, never get profitable. And so you end up being a jack of all trades and a master of none. Raise your hand if you've ever done this before. So it's quite common to look for the easy solution. Everybody wants the simple money, the easy solution, that one day wonder. Buy this strategy, and by the following weekend, you're going to be profitable, right? The things that are worth the most at the top of the mountain over here generally take the longest to accomplish and require the most change from you. So from here, we get into the concept called the aggregation of marginal gains, which sounds like an MBA term, and maybe it is, but this is, I think, a perfect explanation of what actually happens when you start to build on yourself. What if the process of improvement, the process of ascending out of the dip, is not a binary thing? So we're all looking for this sort of step function here, right? We start putting some progress into something, and then boom, all of a sudden we're 100% effective and profitable. It doesn't work that way. It requires the aggregation of marginal gains. And so the question here is that what if you were to get 1% better at something every single day? Maybe you're not very good at it right now, but if you got 1% better every single day, could you commit to something like that? I think most people would say, yeah, hell yeah, I can do that. I can get 1% better today than I was yesterday. All it takes is a few minutes of work, and I can be more effective at that. And so I think most people would buy into the concept that they can create these marginal gains instead of like one massive step function that we're looking for. And the great thing about this is the gains compound. And so this becomes a cumulative exponential thing where we get actually 37 times better at something over the course of a year, just by day after day after day plugging away at this. And this is what success looks like. It's never about all of a sudden like winning the lottery ticket and boom, all of a sudden you become 100% effective at something. It's the slow, iterative process of getting better at something day after day after day and not quitting once you get into that dip. And this is where we get into the power of habit. What we've learned recently is that change that we all desire is not attained through that step function. We don't wake up one day and suddenly become an ace trader. The change that we want comes a fraction at a time, incrementally, as we apply these marginal gains, which add up over time. But you can't leverage these marginal gains without the proper habits to stick with them. So this is where we get into the notion of success habits. Now, if you want success habits, these are not something that you can just go out and buy. You have to introduce them slowly, gradually, and author James Clear has got a 4-step process to this creation of habits. So assuming you know what your desired outcome is to leave the dip and then the habits necessary to achieve those marginal gains, this is the 4-step process to create those desirable habits that we all want. And number 1 is to make those habits obvious. If you want to adopt new positive habits, then you have to make the adoption of them obvious. So use implementation intentions to state what it is that you're trying to change. Again, this signals your subconscious mind what it is that you find positive. And then use habit stacking by tying a new habit to one that you're already used to performing, such as, well, when I brush my teeth in the morning, which is something that you're already doing, a habit that you're already doing right now, I will do 10 push-ups. And maybe that's the new habit that you want to introduce. This is where we stack one on top of another, on top of a habit that you're already doing. And then use environmental design to make my new habit of working out in the morning obvious. What I will do in the morning is to lay out my workout clothes at the foot of the bed. I literally trip over them on my way out of the room. And so there they are, got to put them on. And then that leads to the workout. This is a way to make it obvious. And then the second step of habit creation is to make it attractive. If you want to adopt new positive habits, then you have to make the adoption of them attractive. You can use temptation bundling, which pairs the action that you want to do with the action that you need to do. So if you want to go get that Frappuccino, maybe you're going to have to walk a mile to get there and back. Something that you want paired with something that you need. Another thing you can do is to join a culture where the desired behavior and habits are the norm, such as a gym where everybody's trying to do the same thing. Make it attractive. The third process for habit creation is to make it easy. If you want to adopt new positive habits, then you have to make the adoption of them easy. Reduce the friction of adopting new habits. Adopt a 2-minute rule. Downscale new habits until they can be done in 2 minutes. We tend to try to accomplish way too much at first. Well, okay, I'm going to read this book tomorrow, and then, no, how about if you just read a page, something that you can do in 2 minutes, and then make that a habit. And then automate your habits to lock in the desired behaviors. Maybe use calendaring or use some of the new automated tools, some of the new audio bots like an Amazon Echo or Google Home to be able to automate what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Make it easy. And then step 4 of habit creation is to make it satisfying. If you want to adopt new positive habits, then you have to make the adoption of them satisfying. Give yourself an immediate reward after completion of a goal or a habit that you're trying to accomplish in that day. Use a habit tracker. So there's lots of different spreadsheets or forms or books or notebooks that have habit tracking in them to give yourself a scorecard to fill in. Sometimes we like to make that little check mark in there and to give yourself a pat in the back for getting something done. And one of the keys is to never allow yourself to miss a habit twice in a row. We're all human. We're going to miss things from day to day. We just don't feel like it. But the point here is that you never allow yourself to miss 2 in a row. You're never going to miss 2 in a row, no matter how bad you are on that day. You just don't feel like it. So again, this is the 4-step process. If you want to read more about this, I've got his book and the recommended resources at the end of this video. And then another concept to think about is that of environmental design, or one home per habit. Each habit that you want to acquire should have its own home, a location that's optimized for the success of that habit. For example, I can't write if I'm at my trading workstation. So my trading workstation, you can just see how busy this thing is over here. It's got different monitors. It's got monitors all over the place. Each one of them has got different charts. There's things moving all over the place. And even the workspace itself is fairly busy. A lot of stuff happens at the trading workspace. So I just can't focus. I can't get the brain to settle down, slow down, and think so that I can write. However, I can check into a shared workspace over here, which is very quiet. A lot of people doing a lot of things very quietly. And it's a very simple, uncluttered workspace. I tend to get a lot done if I have to write by going to this shared workspace. This is part of environmental design to improve the effectiveness of your habits. So one home per habit. If my habit is trading, I want to be here. If I want to be writing, I want to be here. So to close things out, we'll go over the recommended resources here. A couple of books which are fairly recently been published. One is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I've actually met James Clear. He's quite an impressive guy. I would also recommend finding some YouTube videos on James Clear. He's been on national news programs as well as giving a lot of seminars which are available on YouTube. And then, of course, Charles Duhigg has been an author on The Power of Habit for quite some time, and also a very, very good book. Okay, that wraps it up for Module 9 and Success Habits, and I will see you in the next module, which is the program summary, where we put everything all together. See you there.